made it. It's been a long time coming. I've been away and things haven't just been so coming out of the woodworks a little bit. So here I am today. I promised I would be online at 7. It's 1 minute after 7, but I am here ready to talk to you. If you can hear me, that's great. If you can't hear me, that's also great. But today I wanted to talk about self-awareness. And when I started this journey on the self-awareness, I had no idea what it would entail. I always saw myself as a typically self-aware person until I came across something that taught me otherwise. Lack in decision-making. My idea of lack in decision-making was it's overwhelm and I've got too much information and therefore I can't really make good decisions. I don't know how it is for you, but this is how I'm experiencing it for me. The next thing that I realized is lack of insight in my behaviors. And I don't think that I have lack of insight in my behaviors. I do realize that sometimes I say things that I don't mean to say, and I am very aware of how it comes across to other people. But I have met a lot of people who, when they say something, when they do something, it is like they have no clue what the impact is on others. So that lack of insight into behaviors, I now see as lack of self-awareness. Inconsistent self-image. I agree with that one. I didn't like my self-image very much, so I had a lot of work to do with my self-image, which is one of the reasons I'm not so keen on being live, but I'm here right now. And then difficulty in setting goals. A lot of people that I work with have difficulty in setting goals. And that is because we want something, but setting goals comes also with a certain amount of actions. And when we're not aware of what we can and cannot accommodate into our life, there is a certain set of difficulty with setting goals. But let's look at why that should impact a lack of self-awareness. The other one that I was a little bit struggled by is relationship conflicts. And that does make sense now that I have thought about it, because if I am not aware of how I am coming across to somebody else in my discussion, in my relationship, then how can I really be confident, or I am confident, but how can I really recognize that I am not quite on par? It's called reading the room in not such a good way. And then lack of accountability. A lot of people say, it's not my fault. I mean, often when we work in teams, no, it's not my fault. And the fault shifting goes from the one to the other. So that is also part of lack of self-awareness. And then when your values do not flow in what you are doing, in what you are saying, in what you are experiencing in life, that's also maybe a lack of self-awareness. And then limited empathy. So when I'm reading this, or when I am looking at this, I'm looking at, there is a word out there that I don't really want to use, and I'll only use it once, is that a lot of people are called narcissists. And so I don't like that word. But if I read these, or when I have taken cognizance of what is low self-awareness, then that sort of comes in with that. But for me, the way I work is low self-awareness comes from a lot of other directions. And in family constellations, we work with self-awareness in a slightly different format, because I look at self-awareness and I see it as a form of what is missing, what is it that we are not aware of. So I don't like labels, and I'm only using it because it is what you or others may understand. And therefore, let's look at what we can do to look at when we have low self-awareness. For me, I had a wake-up call. But when we look at identifying family dynamics, we see that sometimes the dynamics in a family are of such a note that people say things, do things, have experiences, and the trauma experiences in family systems tend to block us off from feeling fully, from being integrated with all our feelings. And sometimes we need to protect ourselves in times of self-preservation. Now, when I am in protective mode, I am self-aware of my protection. I'm not aware of what is happening, truly happening. I'm aware of the outside world that is endangering me. And so this comes also from our ancestral patterns, when there was people in trauma, people having difficult relationships, people having all sorts of difficulties that they had to master. And so that cuts us off. Trauma cuts us off from the self-awareness that is healthy. And sometimes our loyalty to others, we are so stuck in an entanglement, in a loyalty to others, that our self-awareness suffers a little bit because of that. And the most part of my work is dealing with family issues. And I had such a good experience yesterday. I met the most amazing man, really, really successful. But when he started talking, I realized the family dynamics he grew up in, the family dynamics that formed his life, really cut off all sense of self-awareness. So there was this drive in being a successful businessman, in doing what is right for the family, in doing what is right for the children. And it's all about the doing and not the being. And I think this is really where we need to look at. Self-awareness is so much about being and less about doing. And then when we look at these family issues, we look at, where did things go wrong? So one of the issues I had with one of my clients was, Sonia, I give so much, but there is no gratitude in return. What must I do? Do I need to keep giving? Do I pull back? What do I need to do? And so the question always arises, what is your need in the giving? Because what if somebody cannot receive what you are giving? And so he was not aware of the family dynamics around him that might have felt guilty about what he gave, because he gave in surplus. And he said the people was commenting negatively, and he felt like, what is going on? I'm giving you with a kind heart. So even though he had a kind heart, there was no self-awareness into what was happening around him. So it is about balancing the giving and the taking, and being aware, when is somebody receptive to my giving and when is somebody not receptive to my giving. And that really, really plays an important role in all of our relationships. So when we reconnect to our roots in family and systemic work, we find that at our root causes, where things have gone slightly awry, where things have been hurtful and traumatic, When things have gone wrong there, the self-awareness is stumped. It's not flowing. It's not positive. It's not being its best self. And so when we look at self-awareness, it really is about how am I in my best flow? How am I able to give everything that I can, but also with an awareness of, as I'm giving, am I receiving? As I am opening up my heart, that's really where it comes in, is the flow in the opening of the heart. So for me, this was quite a shocker when I realized that I thought I had a high sense of self-awareness. And when I realized, yes, some areas of my self-awareness are really good and really high, but other areas of my self-awareness are not so good and not so high. And so when we recognize where we are at in our inner sense of self-awareness, because it's not just about understanding what is outside of us, it's about the inside that connects with the outside. And our inside connecting with the outside needs to be in flow with each other. And if that's not in equal flow with each other, then our self-awareness is quite stunted. So you may say, okay, Sonia, what is a good self-awareness? Well, good self-awareness is good connections with yourself and everybody around you. And if we don't have those good connections in balance, so it is when the inner world and the outer world, they come together and they are in good flow with each other. With other words, when our heart space is open to give, but our heart space also needs to be open to receive, and it has to be in good flow. So are there any questions you would like to ask when it comes to self-awareness? I'm not sure that you can hear me. I'm not sure this is a platform that I'm only just investigating. So let me know what your sense of self-awareness is. Let me know if there is anything you would like to explore more. Because let's look at what self-awareness is supposed to give us. Self-awareness is the ability to consciously and objectively recognize and understand and evaluate yourself. And this is what I said. It is about who am I? And it also is about who am I in good situations and who am I in difficult situations. So it always comes about becoming aware of the moment as it is and dealing with the moment as it is in a good way. So that means you have to gain insight into your thoughts, into your feelings, into your behaviors, your strengths, your weaknesses, and your values. So let me go back there. When you gain insight in any given situation, what am I thinking? What's happening in my thoughts? Am I speaking unkind words, or am I just seeing what it is for now? What are my feelings in this situation? What is my behavior? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And most of all, what are my values? So I had a really interesting incident this weekend, and I knew that I was not coping very well. I felt extremely, shall I say, weak, and I felt helpless. And I had to admit to the sense of helplessness. Now, in the past, when I didn't care about self-awareness, it was a case of, and I was really going off on some tangent. But I was so self-aware that in this moment, I felt extremely helpless. And what I did is I thought, what is the behavior that I now need to express? I need help. So I had to ask for help. But how do I ask for help? I asked for help in a way that I am heard clearly and that I take information clearly so that whatever problem I had could get sorted. And understanding that I needed to get strength from somebody else because I had a weakness in a certain area of my life. So it's about balancing the insight of the good. Also, when we are self-aware, we have clear and accurate perceptions of who we are, how we relate to others, and this is so important, and the impact we have on our surroundings. So when I was feeling really helpless on Friday afternoon, I realized that if I lost control of who I wanted to be, the impact on the people around me would be really, really negative. And so what happened is I explained my helplessness, I explained my problem, and people were so willing to help me. And I thought, wow, people around me are so kind. And that's what I was met with. And so just being self-aware of where I was at that point in time was really, really, really important. And then being aware of the inside and the external, as I have explained before. So please understand that self-awareness is the cornerstone of personal growth, which is why I've started my series of the next 10 weeks with self-awareness to work on our personal growth and well-being. I hope you're enjoying this few minutes of me just chatting away, rambling. If you have any questions, put them below. Let's have another chat session about this and see how we can give ideas to each other. Maybe, what is your sense of self-awareness? Think about it. How do you react to the world around you when things go good? How do you react to the world around you when things don't go so well? So thank you for listening to my chat, and I hope to see you again soon. I will be doing another chat next week, 7 o'clock, here on LinkedIn again. Have a good evening. Bye for now.